Welcome into the Fade. I'm Clay Travis. I'm getting massacred every week. I blame Kelly, but at least my team is good, unlike hers. Though she is wearing purple, like, I don't even know, what did I call this this outfit? Like purple, like long johns. Maybe because she's getting ready for the potential hurricane that is coming into Florida and into the Gulf Coast and potentially sweeping through everywhere. This always reminds me, Kelly, nobody loves analyzing weather as it might impact football lines more than our buddy Todd Furman. I mean, I think he should have been a meteorologist in another life, but we are taping on Wednesday because we're worried that you may be knocked out of power by Thursday as this storm comes through. So you're up a day early. Would you like to defend your ski outfit there? Are you planning on not having power and potentially having to, drive to the Rocky Mountains without being able to change clothes so you can go skiing?
So it already started raining, thundering, and lightning. And in between shows, I ran outside to pull some more stuff inside. And I came back in and the AC was on. I was freezing. So I put on this, I think it's blue, technically, indigo sweater. And as soon as I logged in, you made fun of me and asked me if I was going to Salt Lake City or Park City to go skiing instead. But
I thought maybe you were.
Todd Furman. I absolutely should have been a meteorologist in a previous life. Do you know how much less mad people get at meteorologists for being wrong all the time?
It's actually a good point. Let me ask you this. I will be blown away if you know the answer to this. And by the way, one of the team can tell me if I'm wrong. Do you know where the best meteorological school, I think I said that correctly, is in the nation? In other words, if you are out there right now and you are watching us and you're thinking there's nothing I would rather do than be a meteorologist, do you know which university, I think I'm correct in this, has the best meteorological department, that's a tough word to say, in the nation?
Meteorological? Now you got me screwing it all up. I would have to say to study meteorology. I'm done. I'm never saying the word again. Thanks, Clay. That was never a word I had a problem with. Now I can't say it. I think I would guess Oklahoma, University of Oklahoma.
That's a good guess because the weather, I'm betting you're picking Oklahoma because the weather can vary massively on the Great Plains and out there where you have tornadoes and weather change. Not a bad guess. I believe the answer is Mississippi State. I was stunned. I had no idea. It's like the Harvard of weather, Mississippi State. I don't know that they even have very much weather differential in Starkville. It's either always hot and steamy. You know, it's like 94 with a high and 86 for a low for like 7 months of the year. But I believe that they have the best meteorological department in the country. And Kelly, this is true. When I was a little kid, I went to go watch a Tennessee-Mississippi State game. My dad took me down there. We used to like to go on the road, watch college football games. It was so hot. I still remember how hot it was in Starkville on that day that our entire section stood up and cheered when the sun went behind a light tower. And there was a little bit of shade in our section. Like, everybody just went crazy. It was like 180 degrees, and I still remember how hot that day was in Starkville. So there you go. A lot of Mississippi State shout-outs. Nobody was anticipating that. So it is the case that we are hoping that everything goes okay, that this hurricane is not a disaster any more than we can hope. And honestly, it's actually, again, meteorological knowledge here. It was forecast to be an awful hurricane season. I bet you know this. So far, we have mostly dodged the bullet when it comes to bad hurricanes. So hopefully this one's not going to be bad either. I've got a place on the Florida Gulf Coast. This place could be in line. You're close down on the Gulf side. So that's going on. All right. I am going to be, let's start here, biggest game of the week, I think NFL or college, honestly, is Alabama hosting Georgia. Alabama has owned Kirby Smart but for the national championship game. Nick Saban is gone. Kalen DeBoer is out. And Kelly, I'll let you react to this, but it's a crazy stat. Alabama has not been a home underdog since George W. Bush was president of the United States in 2007. For people who are not gamblers, contextualize how absolutely bonkers that stat is.
It's almost as bonkers as saying that Oklahoma hadn't been a home underdog in almost that long. And we saw how well that panned out for them last weekend. Look, to have not only a dynasty of a football program there in Tuscaloosa, but that just speaks volumes to it. You give them a giant home field advantage. I would say most handicappers give them 4 points on a regular Saturday. For this game, I'm going to bump it up to 6.
So and this is important. I'm taking Alabama right now as we're speaking. Again, it's Wednesday. Alabama is a 2.5-point underdog. To me, Kelly, the books have to know that lots of people are going to react like I am and say, I'm taking the Tide. I'm on the Tide and the under. Does it make you nervous when you see a line hung like that, 2.5? I mean, it'd be different if it was 3.5. It would be different if it was 3. Georgia minus 2.5. It feels like they are just begging people to come take Georgia. I don't know what the lopsided nature of this would be, but I bet it's 75-25 at least on the Bama side. I'm taking it, but it makes me nervous when I see that number.
Yeah, it reminds me of the championship game a couple of years ago when Alabama was a 6-point dog, and everybody's like, Kelly, why on earth are you on Alabama? They're a square dog here. Of course they're a square dog. Anytime you're getting plus points with a dynasty team, as I mentioned, in Alabama, everybody's going to want to bet them. It doesn't mean it's the wrong side, and I would agree with you here. Slight lean towards Alabama at home. You got this Georgia team. Oh, boy. Kirby Smart. You know, when you have 24-year-olds playing for your team and half of them go to the NFL, I hope that you can win national championships. And then last year, obviously, we know the Dogs should have been in and instead just got to wallop on Florida State. But this year, they've been off to kind of a really boring start, if you will. Alabama, on the flip side, was impressive over Western Kentucky, shut out there, and then struggled yet again with South Florida. Here's a Bama team that I'm not sure what their identity is, but I can tell you this. This is the game that they have circled. Georgia, on the other hand, might not see Alabama as the powerhouse they once were. I'm not saying they're going to overlook them here, but I can completely see this being a 21-17 Bama final. I don't think this is going to be some high-scoring affair. Maybe look towards the under if your total's better.
Okay, let's stick on college football for a second. Actually, let's jump to the NFL because the other Cowboys-Giants Thursday Night Football is a huge game. We'll come back to college football in a sec. Everybody is going to be watching this game. Cowboys, not a good performance. Like I said, I got massacred in the NFL. I thought they would beat the Ravens. Credit to Lamar and the Ravens for coming out, delivering a punch. The Giants kind of out of nowhere having some success with Daniel Jones. They're a 5.5-point home underdog right now, the number that I'm seeing, Kelly. Again, we're taping this on Wednesday for the Giants. I'm biting my lip and taking the Cowboys minus 5.5 because this feels like the kind of game the Cowboys win because all they do is vacillate from we're great to we're awful. And if they lose this game, there's going to be a full-on panic in Big D, and Giants fans are going to be walking on air. So I'm taking the Cowboys. What say you? How are you playing this?
Yeah, I'm afraid that Mike McCarthy might lose his job if they lose this game.
Yeah.
I mean, boy, this team hasn't lost 3 in a row since 2020. If you remember, that was the year that Dak Prescott turned the ball over more than we've ever seen in history. I mean, it was just an abysmal year. You're right. I don't want to take the Giants here, but we know what we've seen from divisional home dogs year in and year out. The problem is the Cowboys have won not only 7 straight against the Giants, but 12 of their last 13. If you remember last year, they hung 40 on them, 40-0, and then 44-17. I don't really buy into too much of the revenge factor here and saying that the Giants somehow have put together a football program. Yes, I was happy they got the win there over Cleveland. That was great for Survivor. I know you think this is a big game. Maybe for a Thursday night. We'll see what Coach Zimmer's got up his sleeve there on the defensive side of things. Maybe they can play a little bit of defense in this one. We'll see. Man, I could see this being one of those really ridiculous games where Dallas wins on a last-minute field goal, wins but doesn't cover.
All right, I'm on the Cowboys. Let's go back to college football for a second. Let's talk about how awesome I am because I told you that Tennessee was going to win. They were going to win by double digits. They were the blood bank guarantee. And Kelly, it was never in doubt. Now, it was ugly. Tennessee basically just said, we're going to hand the ball off and slam it into the line time after time because I think early on they recognized Oklahoma didn't have the offense to be able to move the ball consistently. They flipped Jackson Arnold out, benched him, went to the backup in the second half. We'll talk about that Oklahoma-Auburn game because that's a dog of a game for both sides right now. But how much did it pain you to see my Volunteers dominate? And by the way, thanks for this, for nothing, Colin Cowherd. I saw it today. He picked Tennessee to win the national championship, which is just kiss of chef's kiss of disaster for me. But Tennessee's good. And your team, who I am betting on this week, Kansas State got obliterated by BYU. Analyze why my team is awesome and your team stinks.
Look, you said your team was going to absolutely roll. I said the reason why I wasn't going to bet on Oklahoma, everybody goes, but Kelly, Oklahoma catching a touchdown at home, this is right up your alley. Well, it wasn't because I hadn't seen enough from Oklahoma to trust them. And I still haven't seen enough to trust Oklahoma. And you can bench Arnold all you want, but that doesn't fix your offensive line problems. Now let's talk about K-State. I went to bed, Clay, when it was 6-0. It was like 10:45 Eastern. I was like, I got a busy day tomorrow. I got an early NFL show. This is going to be a snooze fest. K-State's going to win like 21-17. It's going to be awful. They're not going to cover, but they're going to get the game. Something inside my body woke me up at 1 a.m. and I went like this and my eye was literally like stuck to itself. And I was like 31-6. Oh, the app's broken. Like I literally thought the app was like wrong. You know how sometimes the apps are wrong.
Yeah.
Right. So I refreshed and I was like, okay, the game's still going on. This doesn't make any sense. So then I switched to the other app and I'm like, what in the hell happened? And then I was mad that I was awake and recognizing how poorly they played. Look, there was a 6-minute stretch there where the Wildcats just all hell broke loose. Two interceptions, a fumble for way too many points for BYU. I'm not going to blame the defense on this loss. This was just everything that could have went wrong for the Wildcats. But I agree with you. We're going to see how much lower this line goes. Right now, 4.5. I had some buddies try to bait me into 6. Some Stillwater friends say, oh, give me the 6. And I'm like, I think we're going to see a lot of Oklahoma State money coming in. And boy, sure are we.
Well, I mean, it's interesting. Let's go into some of these college games because Oklahoma State lost at home to Utah. And that was a potential preview. And then Kansas State goes on the road against BYU. Shout out to Utah, by the way. Huge day for the state of Utah. There's a big college football market out there. But now Oklahoma State, Kansas State, it almost feels a little bit, Kelly, like an elimination game. We'll see exactly how it all shakes out. But it's going to be hard, I think, to make a conference championship game with 3 losses in a power conference. Maybe tough with even 2. What do you see? You know Kansas State well. I bet Kansas State already 4.5 betting on the bounce back, but Oklahoma State didn't look good either. And one of these teams is going to be really disappointed at sitting with 2 straight losses.
Yeah, 2 straight losses is going to be not good. And that probably is all going to but eliminate them from not only the Big 12 championship, but any outside chance of, even if they got in the Big 12 championship, being able to go to the college football playoff. So looking for a win here is what both teams need. I love Gundy as an underdog, particularly on the road. I just don't love him in this spot. Chris Kleiman, 14-6-1 after a loss. I saw a tweet earlier and I should have pulled it up. Every time K-State's lost in that type of humiliating fashion, whether it was 2 years ago at TCU and then rebounded 48-0 against Oklahoma State, or whether it was last year losing on Friday night at Oklahoma State, and just putting on an absolute utter clinic. That's what they do. This team makes a lot of really dumb mistakes, and then they fix them the following week. Not for the entire season, not for the next season, just for the following week. So I expect a big bounce back from the Wildcats.
All right, let's talk about Oklahoma-Auburn, because you mentioned that you had a read on this game. I do too, and I think I heard you be on the same side as me. I'm taking Auburn as the home underdog plus the points. I've got them right now, I think, at 2.5. The numbers moved around some. I also like the under here. I just don't feel like either offense is going to move the ball very well. Hugh Freeze has said some interesting things, including that if they played Arkansas 10 times, they would win the next 9, which is an interesting statement. I think certainly he's not happy with his team. Brent Venables' offense has not been very good. Quarterback uncertainty. I'm taking Auburn on the Plains. You too?
Yeah, I'm just going to take Auburn plus 105, Clay. I don't think we need the points here at home. This is an Auburn team, though, that does concern me because they love to turn the ball over. That's how I cashed that California ticket plus double digits a few weeks ago. And that was against, well, a really solid defense. Oklahoma's defense is not that good. I don't think switching to a freshman mobile quarterback is going to help them in this. This is a get-right game for Auburn, and I expect them to beat Oklahoma.
All right, some other games that I flagged out there. Arkansas A&M. This is the perpetual how is Arkansas's heart going to get broken by A&M. They found so many different ways to win. I'm actually staying away from taking a side here, although I'm a little bit intrigued by A&M and could change my mind. But I like the under more. I don't think A&M has got a lot of horses on the offensive side of the ball. Interestingly, Arkansas's offense has been declining in potency as the season has progressed. Talon Green maybe showing a little bit less of a consistent quarterback play than we would have anticipated. Physical game down on the Plains. I watched a lot of that and saw the beating up going on. We know A&M has a pretty solid defense. I like A&M probably to win this one, but I like the under. You have any read?
Yeah, I like Arkansas here on the neutral field there at Jerry World. This is an Arkansas team who I will admit, like you just said, Talon Green, maybe not quite the guy that we thought was going to be or that we saw flashes of as far as a passer goes, but we know that he helps give them a balanced running attack, right? As long as he's healthy, he is going to use his legs whenever necessary. Mike Elko, Texas A&M, I bet their season win total under. I said they're not it. Riley Leonard's not it. When they played against Notre Dame, I said Riley Leonard's not it, but he even looked okay against this defense. And that's kind of the issue here, is that even though Talon Green might have shown some glimpses, here's where he can actually attack this A&M defense. I expect Connor Wegman to be a go. I know they said he's going to be a game time decision for the rest of the season. Hearing some rumblings there out of College Station, but I think A&M's overrated, and I've been betting against them all season long.
What about Illinois on the road against Penn State? They're a big underdog, Kelly. They just got a big win on Friday night in Nebraska to go to 4-0. Brett Bielema never should leave the Big Ten again because all he does is seem to find a way to win. 17.5 feels steep to me with Penn State, and I feel like they're begging me to take Illinois given that number. I know James Franklin has got a great record of covering. I took Illinois plus the points, and I took the under because this feels to me like it might be somewhat similar to the game that we saw at Nebraska. Are you hopping on either side?
I am not, but I'll tell you why I'm not going to take Illinois. I gave Brett Bielema his flowers last Friday. Obviously, we saw them go into Lincoln and get a win. That was huge for this team. But boy, Penn State, you know, every time I've tried to discredit them, they just keep telling me how wrong I've been. I think that this is a top 5 team. Luke Altmaier last year, 4 interceptions on his home field versus this Penn State team. You think that's not still in the back of his mind? Unfortunately, I think Illinois is going to be the square dog here on Saturday. While I'd like to lay it with Penn State, I think 18 is just a little too many. But boy, is it, you're right, Clay, just begging you to take the Illini here.
Begging you to take the Illini. All right, another big underdog. I feel like I'm being begged in on this one too. Kentucky at Ole Miss. And Ole Miss is 4-0. They have not really been challenged. They have scored a great deal of points. Kentucky, I don't think has much of an offense, which makes me nervous, but I do think their defense is okay. I think that they will take the air out of this Ole Miss offense a bit, and I know I'm being begged to take it, and I know I may be sitting around saying, why in the world did I do this? I'm taking Kentucky on the road at Ole Miss.
Yeah, I like Kentucky plus the points here. They were almost my double-digit outright underdog, but they can't win this game. I could not make a case for them to win this game. But what I can do is say that this line is overinflated because here you have Ole Miss right now. They're getting touted as the #1 total offense. But then you got to look at who they played, and maybe those numbers are a little inflated by playing not very good defenses. So as much as Kentucky looks a little nauseating to take here, I understand why they look like the right side. We'll see if I can't end up on Kentucky plus the points, but I think this is a sell high spot for Ole Miss. Again, not playing any real defenses, but hey, we'll see how the Ole Miss offense shows up against Kentucky.
Okay, some other big games that are out here, Kelly, at least in theory. Minnesota, Michigan, I'm on the under. I thought I got screwed on this one. There was no reason that game should have gone over against SC. I don't think Michigan has a quarterback. I don't think they can throw. Minnesota has no offense. This feels like a low-scoring game to me. Friday night game, by the way, I'm taking Miami to blow out Virginia Tech. I know I'm getting begged. I'm taking the opposite side of maybe what the expectation was, but I liked what I saw from Miami on the road against South Florida. Virginia Tech has been awful this year. I am not impressed with the quality of their team. I think Miami's going to expose them. And then let's see. Oregon, I'm jumping on the train here and taking UCLA for a late night game that I know I'm going to regret, plus 25 and a half. And then South Alabama has scored just an absolute ton of points. And I don't think LSU is very good, Kelly, defensively. So I'm taking the over in the LSU South Alabama game. I think that South Alabama will score 28 or more. I think LSU will score a bundle. So anyway, I'm taking the over 65.5. Do you like any of those? Those are the rest of my picks.
No, I bet against Miami last week. Clay, I had USF plus 17.5, and it looked really good until the second half. And then Miami kind of ran away with it. So I could see them doing something similar here to this Virginia Tech type squad. I don't know what to make of this school, right? They had a lot of very big expectations coming into the season, all of which have now basically been floundered. LSU, same thing. You're right. They have no defense. I do not want to take an under there. As far as the Minnesota-Michigan game goes, I tried to make a case for Minnesota, but as you mentioned, offensively, they do nothing. What would it surprise you in the slightest to see it be a 14-10 final? Absolutely not. The only games that I have left on my list that are even noteworthy, because everybody's going to be like, really, Kelly, did you just go to the depths of hell to find some of these? I took the double digits with Western Kentucky. I think that they can beat up on Boston College. If you remember last week, Michigan State was my best bet, and they had opportunities to win that game, and they gave up a big play there with about 45 seconds left. So that was not very much fun, but they did still cover, even though they did not win. We were talking about good offenses. Western Kentucky is going to throw the ball like 45 times against the secondary, and I don't blame them. I would absolutely exploit Bill O'Brien's defenses any chance you get, because Bill O'Brien's offenses can't play catch up. So keep an eye on them there. I like that. Too many points. And let's see, I already gave out Auburn, Arkansas. UAB's on my long list. Also USF on my long list. And I want to try to make a case for this Arizona team, Clay, to beat Utah. You mentioned Utah last week, went into Stillwater, nice win. They have that really smash mouth defense, if you will. And that's what we saw, right? They held the ball for 42 and a half minutes last week, but yet they only put 22 points on the board. So I kind of had some questions there. Can Arizona, after their humiliating defeat there on Friday night in Manhattan, Kansas, whether Cam Rising plays or not, I don't think it matters. Double digits with Arizona? I don't know. They're 0-3 against the spread. I got a little bit more work to do on that one, but man, could I see them being able to throw against that Utah defense.
Yeah, that number made me nervous too, and I stayed away because I felt like it was too steep. And I do agree with you that the defense at Utah is sort of the straw that stirs the drink, so to speak. And that number seemed steep to me, but I was like, I don't want to touch it. All right, NFL. I got massacred in the NFL. I went 1-5 in the OutKick six-pack contingent. We already talked about the Cowboys-Giants. I'm taking the Cowboys. I jotted down a bunch. I haven't officially posted my picks because we're doing this a day early. Titans, Dolphins, I'm going to take the under, Kelly. That's not until Monday night. Neither team, we don't even know what the quarterback situation is going to be for the Dolphins. We know, unfortunately, that the Titans are playing Will Levis. They're not very good. I think the best game, at least to me, that I starred, I think the Bills are going to go on the road and beat the Ravens outright. This will be the second straight week that I bet against the Ravens. I like what I'm seeing from the Bills. I think they are the better team. I think they should potentially be favored. I'm taking the Bills there. I'm going back in for another beatdown on the Bucs. You and I both had the Bucs last week, and they just got absolutely obliterated by the Broncos. And I am going to take the Broncos-Jets under. Those are kind of some of the NFL games that stand out to me. What do you like the most right now in the NFL? Again, we're taping on Wednesday, which is a day earlier than normal because of the weather situation and the hurricane.
Yeah, I like to play on what did we see last and then kind of play the inverse, right, Clay? I've got a ton of teaser spots for this week. Colts are one of them. You mentioned the Titans being one of them. There's some interesting spots here with Kansas City to use. And I think that's how I'm going to be this week, is very teaser heavy. But my best bet for this weekend in the NFL is Arizona. We saw Washington. What do they do? Go into Cincinnati Monday night, kill a bunch of survivor hopes. Everybody is saying how great Jaden Daniels is. I'm not so sure just yet, right? Like, he's played 3 games. Everybody pump the brakes here. And what did we see last week from Arizona? That's right. They just got throttled by Detroit. Detroit goes in there coming off that Bucs loss and just works the Cardinals. I think what we're going to see here is exactly what we saw week 1 when I played against the Commanders and I laid 3.5 with the Bucs. Same line, same situation. A lot of people are overhyping the Commanders. I understand it's a new regime there in Washington, but I trust Kyler Murray here and this Cardinals defense on Sunday afternoon. And then the other one I playing against last week, if you remember, I gave out the Rams. I said, hey, 7.5 is too many. And oh, by the way, could they win this game outright? Maybe. No one thinks that the Chargers can win this game outright. You've got 3-0 Kansas City, who absolutely own the Chargers. They've won 10 straight, except they've only covered 5-5, right? They covered 5, lost 5. I know Justin Herbert's banged up, and a lot of people are playing on that. But Tyler Heineke, we'll see what he's able to do if he does get that second start. Keep an eye on Nick Bosa. But I love playing against these overreactions. Kansas City in all these one-score games keeps having things go their way. That is going to run out, and when it does, it's going to be a good day for me. I like the Chargers over a touchdown at home, but wouldn't be surprised we get some of these injuries to go our way. They can't win that game outright.
I like that analysis. I've got the Raiders minus 1.5 against the Browns. Like kind of somewhat of what I'm seeing from them. Not a fan of what I've seen from the Browns. You mentioned that Commanders-Cardinals game. I've got the over. I thought we were going to hit the over in that game against the Lions last week. It started off a lot of points scored early, and then everything just vanished. Steelers-Colts, I'm taking the under. We know the Steelers' offense, by and large, has not really shown up. And Broncos-Jets, I've got the under as well. So those are my NFL picks. Broncos came out of nowhere, I'll be honest. I did not see that beatdown of the Bucs coming. Certainly you didn't either. I don't think anybody did in the NFL universe.
That was not very much fun in person.
What else is out there you think everybody should know? First of all, we hope that everything goes well with the hurricane. When is it supposed to hit where you are? What's the timing?
It started raining a couple hours ago, a little bit of thunder and lightning, which is just kind of that tail backside of things. Obviously, the hurricane is west of us, so the east side of the storm is not great, but it looks like just a lot of wind and rain for us. But that doesn't mean we won't lose electricity or Wi-Fi. So, of course, I'm shoveling everything into 2 days of work into 1 day, which means tomorrow everything's going to be just fine and the sun is going to be shining by noon. But I do hope that everybody north of me is safe, and maybe we get some luck and this thing does dissipate.
No doubt. Kelly, appreciate you being flexible. Hope everything goes well for you in Florida and everybody else watching us in Florida and beyond as this thing moves through. We will be back normally as we are on Thursday. I'll do an OutKick show tomorrow. And then, like I said, I'm headed down to Alabama, Georgia. May have a special guest down in Tuscaloosa for that big game against Georgia. Stay tuned there. And it's going to be a big game. I'm going to be excited to watch it regardless.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great game. Hopefully you get a fun ending and your special guest. I'm excited to hear who it is.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Love all you guys. Hopefully we have a better weekend of gambling. We will be back next week. She's Kelly Stewart. I'm Clay Travis. She's headed to the slopes now. This has been The Fade.